Hi everybody, welcome to G for G here on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about a new card that was revealed for the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan experience in Hearthstone, and that is Madam Goya. Credit to Disguised Toast for the reveal. And today's background music is brought to you by some royalty-free ambient music. So, I don't often talk about Hearthstone a lot on the channel, mostly because I feel the entire circus, the zoo of Hearthstone out there, is pretty well established, and I kind of don't think of it as particularly easy to break into doing Hearthstone content. However, upon seeing this revealed today, I was struck by how powerful this card is and how much it reminds me of something from Magic the Gathering. So if you're unaware of who Madam Goya is, she's a female Pandarian who was a black market auctioneer in Warlords of Draenor. She was out in the Grand, and there was a panda that would appear in my garrison. I don't remember if it was Madam Goya or not, but she initially was out in the Grand. Since Legion came around and the Legion pre-patches, she has now moved into the Dalaran sewers. And she's down there. If you do a tar space Madam, you can find her. And I believe she might actually even be involved in the Rogue Black Market auction house. So here is her WoW appearance. As we scroll down over here. That's what she looks like in WoW. So you can see the card is pretty close to her WoW appearance, and that's what it looks like being the leader of the black market. So, battlecry. So that means anytime she comes in the field, choose a friendly minion on the field, swap it with a minion in your deck. So, for 6 mana, and she's 4/3, so I mean she's okay for a living, but you can take any single minion out on the board for you currently, and that includes minions summoned by hero powers like totems and the little dink nuts from paladins, and take anything out of your deck and put it on the field. So now, what did this really remind me of? It reminded me of the very famous Entomb Exhume decks, or some of the Resurrection Angel decks that existed in Magic the Gathering. And these were some decks that I was kind of used to back then, and I loved designing decks around this concept. So there was an angel, Rhea Dawnbringer, here she is. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return a target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Or you had things like Entomb and Exhume. Basically what the deal was is that you wanted to get a card from your deck somewhere into the graveyard. If it went in from the deck to the graveyard, or your hand to the graveyard through a discard or anything like that, you basically stocked up your graveyard with ridiculously high-powered cards that you never really would have that much of a chance of playing, or that you weren't even capable of playing, like the mini multi, the chromatic dragons and everything that required like 4 or 5 mana types and whatnot. So what was kind of common was this Blazing Archon. Flying creatures can't attack you. That basically means you can only lose the game by spells. And as you can see, that's 6 and 3 planes. That's a 9 mana card. So unless something took that card out, I mean, you had a really good win condition, and a lot of people used Animate Dead to get cards in there, Buried Alive, Rhea Dawnbringer to bring things out. So I mean, you could basically build like a white and a black deck and cast crazy spells. Madam Goya could potentially do that for Hearthstone. Not that things would be coming from your graveyard, but that you would stack your deck with really nutty minions that could possibly come out in turn 6. You know, or earlier if you innervate. And that's what I wanted to discuss with you guys. I think this could be very, very interesting. And unlike a resurrection deck in Magic the Gathering, your strategy is hidden until Goya comes out. If you were doing Entomb decks in Magic the Gathering, your hand was kind of, not your literal hand, but your figurative hand, was played very obviously because of the fact that you would see, if you were opposite somebody doing an Entomb deck, you would see them discarding like these really high-powered cards and crazy cards. Maybe they were faking it by letting their hand fill up and have to do forced discard at the end of turns. But you could have possibly smelled it coming. Until Madam Goya actually comes out on the field, you will never smell a Madam Goya coming until it's too late. So she can just pull out nutty things. I mean, I'm going to take a look at my own collection here. Yeah, I've got some packs to open. This is the first time I've been in Hearthstone since BlizzCon. And somebody that I picked to win the Hearthstone Championship got me 4 packs, 6 packs or something. So if I just go over through my neutrals, alright, so, you know, we'll go 7+. I'll just work my way backwards. There's a possibility pulling a Yogg out. A 10/10 Faceless Behemoth, turn 5, turn 6. Cthulhu coming out. There's been talk about, like, Deathwing coming out. Not that Blood of the Ancient one would be that good, but, you know, a pretty beefy Eldritch Horror. Set that thing up to tank, and you're probably going to be out there. It's going to be out in the field for a little while. So you can stack your deck with huge powered minions and just hope to pull your Madam Goyas out. So that's pretty crazy. If we look at, let's say, Druids, and you go for the Innervate to try to get it out early or something like that. Well, my Druid cards aren't that good, but I mean, there's lots of possibilities for that. And I think Madam Goya could be an incredibly fun card to play with. It might unfortunately lead to crazy super noob strategies where you just, you know, go through your entire card list and get the biggest stuff you can find and throw a bunch of Madam Goyas in your deck. And maybe run a lot of healing until it comes time for your Madam Goya to come out. Hopefully pull out big ones. I think I will. So, here are my card backs. There's Classic, Heroes of the Storm, Warlords of Draenor, Legacy of the Void, Overwatch, BlizzCon 2015, and this is actually BlizzCon 2016. So I'll have that one in there now. And my heroes, I have Khadgar. Chose not to get Medivh because I had Khadgar. Got Lady Leandrin. I think this is the one from leveling somebody to 20 in World of Warcraft after the after it was that came up.
My plans are falling into place.
There was a condition recently that just gave people Medivh, but he just looked ugly as sin, and I had Khadgar, so I went with that. So now I think I'll cut into some of these packs over here and see what I get. I don't know what it gave me. I think it was it the tournament? Yeah, I think it gave me tournament decks. That's pretty cool. That's kind of interesting. That actually might be a decent counter to Madam Goya. You might be able to sniff out some Madam Goyas with something like King's Elk. That could be interesting. Yeah, I think the 4 cards that I got were Trial of the Crusade cards here. So I don't think they would have been basics. So Buccaneer, Dalaran, Aspirant, Sparring Partner, give a minion time. Give a friendly minion +2 attack. So that one's, I mean, 2 mana, that is a good lead-in. Like, if that was early on and it managed to live, that's a good one to swap out from Madam Goya. Anything with a decent battlecry would also be good, like a heal from a battlecry. Because if you pull it out again, you'll be able to proc the battlecry again. It's an interesting one. Hey! Deal 1 damage to my minions. That wouldn't be half bad for Goya to pull something like that out. Not the best, but it's not bad. If you had a Reno Jackson and ran high-powered all single cards, you could throw Reno back in the deck, pull out a high-powered card, and then play Reno again later. That is like having... The amount of life you would get out of something like that is nuts. Because if you got knocked down to 1 health, pulled out Reno, restored back, had Madam Goya, throw him back in the deck, lost a bunch of health again, and then pulled him out again. That's never ending. And we may see that. That might actually come up. I like that Holy Champion for my... Nice. I actually like that for the 1 priest deck that I have. They would go well in my heal the fuck out of me deck. So there's this 1 priest deck that I use sometimes that works out pretty well. No, not basic priest. Where are you? There it is. So basically for this priest deck that I run, it's a Norshire cleric deck. It's basically healing minions and then pulling out cards. And just going through the deck like that. And those 2 cards that I just got really could find a place in this deck somewhere. So there it is, my... Nope. My Norshire cleric. And it's just meant to have like a lot of sustain in there with the Voodoo Doctors, powered shields. Light Spawn is another thing that I like to go for in this deck. Get a Light Spawn out there and then just beef it up like crazy. Holy Nova and those Holy Champions. I kind of like that. I may play around with modifying this deck to work in the 2 Holy Champions. So, there is a little bit of a discussion on Madam Goya and how potentially interesting it could certainly be to see a deck like that out in the wild. And here's my hero levels. They're not that great. Did a lot of priest work, a lot of hunter. Kind of abandoned shamans and mages at some point. Barely ever touched my rogue and my paladin. Did the warrior a little bit. And I think currently on my solo adventure, I'm stuck on the silverware golem in Gadgetzan, if I remember correctly. There are times where you feel like the AI just absolutely cheats like crazy in this game, that you get so close to the win and then the AI just pulls something completely out of its ass that is the perfect counter to what you're doing, and the game is won. So I need to investigate some working decks for the silverware golem and get my Gadgetzan adventure going a little bit further. So there is the reveal for Madam Goya, which came from Disguised Toast, and being an old MTG player, that's immediately what came to mind for me when I saw her, was just the old Entomb decks and the way you would stack your deck with stuff you didn't really ever think to play manually, but you had something else pulling it out for you. So, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Take care and have a good one.